your cloud thing. Welcome everyone. Happy Friday. You are part of the upstream marketing subgroup meeting under SIG Contributor Experience. I'm Matt, and we've got some new faces, so we can do a little round robin. I'm Matt. I'm the editorial lead, which basically means I try to shepherd our projects along and help us get to publishing some articles. Rajula, would you mind introducing yourself next?
Yeah, hi, I'm Rajula. I work at CERN. So I work upstream. I don't do upstream as a day-to-day job. I just work with Kubernetes. So I'm here to do some upstream and also do some bridge between technical and non-technical. Yeah.
Super fun. And Chris is here for making coffee, but oh no, you can tell us more.
There you go.
I'm with you. Slowly becoming the secret handshake of this meeting. Are you a ray of sunshine on a Friday morning? Hey, Chris, welcome.
Hey.
Jason or Bart, no pressure, but if you want to introduce yourself or what brought you here, I'd love to hear it. Jason, if you could kick us off.
Sure. Hey, I'm Jason Morgan. I've recently joined Buoyant as an evangelist for Linkerd. So I'm actually here to understand. Well, I'm trying to find out how to make it easy to contribute to Linkerd, to write about it, to talk about it for not just myself but folks in the community. So I feel like I may have found the right spot, or at least a good spot to start. And it's really nice to meet you all.
Yeah,
nice to meet you. Cool to see Linkerd people here. Awesome.
Neat.
Okay, I'm Bart, and very nice to be here. And I'm running the Data on Kubernetes community, through which I actually got to meet Chris. So very nice to see you. Basically, I want to find out how I can help out. That's pretty much it, in any way possible. And I've been told by a couple people, like, you got to get into SIG, you got to check it out. So that's really why I'm here, basically just to listen and see if there's any way I can pitch in. So yeah. Welcome.
That is the right energy to bring to this. Very much Kubernetes community is first you have to show up as a principal and just kind of do the dating process to see if you can find the right place. So welcome. Good. Well, Rajula, Chris, and I have been deep at work. The way we run these meetings, which we run through a partial agenda, and if time is permitting, we like to do working sessions and try to actually PR some articles in. Our scope here is to provide an option for non-code contributors to Kubernetes and really focus on storytelling. There are historically a bunch of disparate places where you can tell a story. We've got our Slack, we've got our mailing list, we've got these different blogs floating around. And with Paris and Bob and George and a number of other like kind of key contributors, we've built a system in place where we can communicate to multiple channels at once. And we've, over the last year, earned some permission to publish some stuff, which is fun. So now we're starting to get asked for actually inbound requests of like, hey, can you write about this? Can you do this thing for us? So we kind of run through those parts to get ourselves started. I like to start with big wins. I don't think we have anything big that's happening. Oh, I should throw it out there. I did end up submitting to another maintainer track for KubeCon for us to keep getting the word out. It was right before the deadline per usual. And Rajula, since you bowed out on this round, Chris and Kazlan, I put the two of you, myself and Piyush down.
Fair enough.
So hope you don't mind.
No, it's fine.
I'd ask forgiveness instead of permission. It should be fun. It would be talking about basically our contributor stories and how we're going to help other people tell their contributor stories. So very much the work we're already doing. So yeah, submit to KubeCon.
So the thing I have to do for this is just show up and
absolutely
make bad jokes and complain.
Yeah. Well, you've been so helpful elsewhere. I try to make this as light as possible for you. And you bought the cup.
I did buy the cup.
Yeah. I think
my wife was complaining to me. Was it Monday? I think it was the first day back at work. She's like, "What? You didn't use your mug today?" I'm like, No, I forgot, but it is an explicitly Monday and Friday only mug because that's when I'm not on camera the most.
Kazan, for you joining late, this is becoming the official mug of this community, if you don't mind expletives. Cool. So after wins go through campaigns in progress, I just try to like bundle the different stuff we're working through into categories, so it's a little easier to follow. And we've moved from putting every idea into the community repo, since that, that can be a barrier to entry for people, for non-code contributors, and also get stale really fast. Like we've got these big article ideas, they may never materialize, so tracking them in this doc has been fine. The big one in progress right now, we have a blog on PSP deprecation that taught us a lot about the deprecation process and helping the Kubernetes community articulate what's going on there. Kazlan has been an incredible shepherd of that. Kazlan, any updates you wanted to review with us, or any next actions you need help with?
So right now there was a meeting on it yesterday, and Tabitha from SIG, probably several people know them. She wanted to add some more to the blog post, and she's excited about what we're doing. She likes it the way it is and wants to just add in more stuff to it. And she likes the idea of having multiple blog posts. So I think that she's going to help champion that through to anyone who had any concerns. And so I'm expecting a pull request on that, but I don't think I've seen one yet. Maybe.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't spotted it either.
I'm just checking now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I keep calling this a working meeting, because we all try to, save it for Friday. Good. That's excellent. I'm glad to hear we're teaming up with Auth. For those just joining, the PSP deprecation is definitely, it's going to be complex for users and confusing at first. And I think we're learning the right amount of getting the word out ahead of an answer versus like getting the word out when we have the right answers to follow. We're still at a state in Kubernetes where we're uncomfortable talking about like not having a complete story yet. Love to get us there eventually, but every technical organization figures out how to message around that eventually. For now, we're just kind of being like, hey, this won't go away till we talk about it. And we're talking about it. Good. Any other thoughts there? Nope. Okay, great.
There was a question. Where do we post the articles? So the articles go into Kubernetes/website. There's a like content, and then there's like language selection, going to English, and then that's where all the blog posts live for the Kubernetes blog. But there's also the dev blog, which I don't know where that website repo is, but we're also trying to do some stuff with that.
I can find that.
Yeah, and we're spearheading that. So
links.
That's new. The one and only place to publish at the moment is the kubernetes.io domain. That's in /website. And interesting just context for everybody that like we've kind of earned some trust in the community to help get articles in. So we think about it like we're helping people think through a story and get it in. There's still a subgroup to docs called the blog subgroup, and they own the publication. So like they have authority to hit the merge, and we're just here to shepherd it. So just a little bit of TMI, but useful TMI on how to get stuff through.
So sorry, just for some clarity for me, Matt. This group meets to talk about content for the Kubernetes blog.
We meet to talk about kind of content in production across the Kubernetes space. Right now, it's very heavily the blog, but a little later we'll talk about some other things. But it's more broad than that, but that's definitely one of the major outlets, because our primary goal is to get messages across the community as they're happening. So Rajula does a lot of work on messaging through the Kubernetes dev mailing list, since that's our default channel.
Okay.
And then we often repeat those messages in Slack and then through a Twitter bot we have. So that coordination is a bigger part of it. And then when time is pending, we write some stuff ourselves. So maybe like a 80-20 split there.
Cool. All right, neat.
Yeah, totally different than a lot of SIGs. And I don't know, it's fun. A lot of us are here to either grow our marketing expertise or to do something different from our day job.
Okay, cool. And sorry, I thought this was a contributor experience.
Oh, there you go. That could be the
is.
confusion.
Yes.
We are a subgroup of ContribEx.
Okay.
The official ContribEx is Wednesday at, I think it's 11 local for me. Like, so
Yeah, it's noon
9 a.m.
Eastern.
PST.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're in the wrong spot, you're more than welcome to drop. That's totally okay.
This is a good spot. I was just trying to understand it.
Totally.
Yeah, no, I mean, we can, Jason, if you want to tag team with me to just get a SIG tour going or whatever, we can do that.
I would love that. Yeah.
That's cool.
I might ping you right now on the Kubernetes Slack if you don't mind.
Yeah. Go
That's
ahead.
a good idea. Way to be a good tour guide, Chris. Good.
Do what I can, man.
Yeah. Good. All right. That's part one. So PSP is coming along. The other major sort of writing campaign we've had in progress is writing up our contributor stories. Chris is a great one. Still, the next action is on me to PR it in, unless somebody else has time. I've got one out there that Joel is doing a copy edit for. Piyush has one out there. Any that I'm missing that people have written up that we want to review and get in? Cool. All right. So the context here, we are actually going to kick off the Kubernetes.dev blog by making it more like first person narratives and how-tos to the first one is going to be like, why do you contribute? How do you contribute? How do you fit it into your schedule? So you can't be wrong. You're not an official spokesperson. You're just a person. And that will really lighten the review cycle. So we want to get those proof of points out there. And then to follow, what I hope is that we can start another sort of campaign under there of show me your setup. Like, how do you set up your text editors? How do you set up your command line? What's your favorite command for Kubernetes or shortcut? Some of the cheesier SEO things that will help elevate the site, because we want to attract more people to it. And, the teams put a ton of work into making a great resource. So the more we write there, the more likely it is to be found on Google. So we're here to help with that. And Caslin is too. Sorry, I had to. Because Google. Okay.
I was like, of course I am. What are you even talking about?
It was a bad Google joke.
That was a bad Google joke, but I liked it.
A little punchy.
Yeah. For context, for anyone who doesn't know, I work at Google, so.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Here is the contributor site repo. I dropped it in chat. I'll put it in the doc too.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. And last but not least on articles, Bob started one with me on, the teams going through for contributor experience, we're trying to shift to more asynchronous communication, asynchronous decision making, which is definitely in the charter and it's hard to do in practice. So we got an outline of an article that they're putting together. He expects it in the next month or so to PR that in. But if you have thoughts on asynchronous comms, you want to be quoted in it, you can write some thought in there. That's where the future tag is here. Good deal. The only other major campaign that's going on is the contributor survey is coming out, and somebody on our team was asked to pair with the team building it to make sure that the word gets out. Rajula thankfully volunteered for that. I know there's supposed to be an update this week. Anything you want to add? What's new?
So Bob said we'll wait for the announcement freeze, which happened. So I'll just ping Bob and ask what to do now.
Cool. Very fair. Awesome. All right, moving on. New items. Anyone got a request or have an idea of something that's come up? do realize Paris asked for something.
She did, didn't she?
I'm blanking
Dagnabbit.
on her name. Yeah, so somebody was it Michelle? Anyway, we're asked to do a blog. I'll go look that up. Anyone else have stuff on their mind?
So I run OpenShift TV for Red Hat. So, I'll just put that out there.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Yeah. So yesterday on air, someone asked, what's replacing PSPs? And I was like, it's a work in progress, but here's the two front runners. We're working on a blog post. And I was like, I looked back and I was like, we've been working on a blog post for a month for this. And it's like, yeah, hope. That's right. Hope is going to replace them. But yeah, if we could somehow shepherd that out, like that's blog post faster, because I feel like people are starting to jump on it, especially the other not OPA admission controller folks, and they're starting to create FUD. So I'm a little worried about that. And that's the whole reason why we brought up this idea for the blog in the first place. And it's starting to happen because we haven't published it yet.
Yeah.
So
totally. Yeah. I definitely see like we're kind of stretching the comfort level of what has happened in the past. So like it's going to be slow because we're building a new experience. So I think what comes to mind for me is like a productive next step. It sounds like Caslin has this first article almost ready to go because everyone's hooked onto this idea that a SIG auth person has to be quoted in it. So she'll get that done. Is there another piece of content, since we've already talked about other writing, is there like a comparison doc or like a healthy overview doc that you think is missing, Chris, or something else?
It's unwritten, right? Because like admission controllers, it has its own doc. Admission webhooks, it has its own doc. The things to manage that, there's really only two things right now that I know of. It's Caverno and Gatekeeper from OPA. So it's very ripe for somebody to come along and like, oh, we have an idea that's better, and don't worry about PSP and so forth, so on. So yeah, it looks like those are the only two that I know of, but there could be more.
Is there a way of framing an article that explores that and, brings people more towards the awareness that you're looking for?
Other than the deprecation warning, no.
Okay.
I mean, really, that's it, right? Like, as you apply a pod security policy, you're going to see a warning come 121 whenever that drops, which is very soon, I think, if it hasn't already. So yeah, like that's what I'm fearful of, is that someone's going to hit that and freak the fuck out, and not have anything explaining what's going on when they Google it.
Yeah.
Other than GitHub repos, which we know won't surface well to Google and aren't exactly user friendly.
Have you seen, I'm adding this under inbound requests, this blog post that was mentioned. There's a vendor that compared OPA Gatekeeper versus Caverno.
Yeah, no, I saw that and that was very funny. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay. I didn't actually read it.
I read the whole thing and I was like,
I don't read
this smells funny. And I think the guy's associated with Caverno, so that's why it's
fair enough. Yeah, so it's got a bias to it. We all eventually do. So question for you, can we write a non-fuddy version, or like a...
Yeah, we could literally take the top half of that article and rewrite it our way and be done with it.
Yeah, as long as you don't do that literally, since it says all rights reserved at the bottom of the page.
Yeah.
If it was Creative Commons, it would be down.
Right.
But if you want to get some of that energy out on this, I think starting a draft of that, like, hey, let's write our own version of this, and tell a more neutral or balanced take on it. I think that is an amazing next step. I'm sure people would get behind you.
Okay. I mean, this is one of those things where it's like, okay, the community is kind of too slow and I might just act on my own. right?
Yeah.
And that's what concerns me, is that I have to do that.
Well, yeah, and my hope is, I think you're totally right, and that may be the correct answer today. My hope is 6 months from now, like the only correct answer is like we push something through the community faster because we've have a system and we have trust.
Right.
And there's no way we're going to speed up that at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have to write something on your blog, you write a great blog, do it up.
Easy enough. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's great is if you're willing to, you can also repurpose part of that content you write for yourself back on another post. Like there's
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, Tabitha was also saying that she'd be happy to like take base content that we make and like add extra detail to it from the SIG auth perspective. So
yeah, like that blog post we're working on, like if we can just get it literally down to it's an announcement that something else is going to come replace PSPs at some point, like that's a good end state in my opinion, right? Like we don't have to answer all the questions in one blog post, right? Like that's what I feel like some people in the community want, right? Like they want, this is going away, what's replacing it, right? Like they want that quick answer, and we don't have that quick answer right now. Oh, by the way, OPA just graduated though. So, right, it's like the writing's on the wall, but it's not kind of deal.
Yeah. I hear you. There's no better way through this one. I think what Kaslan's doing is great.
Yep.
And I do think like a copycat article that is more neutral would be dope. I don't really care where it comes out as long as it's searchable.
Yeah, like this is a very good point Jason put in chat here, right? Like there's a big healthcare system that is using PSPs and they didn't know is being deprecated. And I know how healthcare plans and moves. A, the fact they're using Kubernetes is a sign of hope, but B, I know that it's going to take a while, right? So getting the notice out there puts it into people's planning cycles, right? Whereas if it's not out there, no one's planning for it. So that's where it's like, do I just sit down in my newsletter and write a quick intro to a future blog post that comes out next week kind of deal? You know, that might be the state that I go with. Just saying.
Sounds great. Okay, great. Any other thoughts, questions, comments?
I was just thinking I should sync back up with Tabitha
after
this. So.
Jason, do you mind if I somehow quote this comment? Like I was made aware of a healthcare system that wasn't aware of this, and like that concerns me. Can I say something to that effect?
I'm happy to reach out to the actual folks that are doing it, the healthcare org, and see if I can get you like a quote about it.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, if they're still using PSPs or whatever, right?
They are. So they're using them and they're building a bunch of stuff, right? Like right now. And
see, this is what scares me, right? Like, right.
Well, I was telling them like, hey, folks, maybe we should think about moving this stuff into OPA, right? Because like, obviously with PSPs coming to be deprecated, you know, it's not like a great idea to invest in. They're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that's what I figured they would say. What are you talking about? What do you mean? We're doing all this work. Yeah, that's why I'm concerned.
So I'd be happy to reach out to them directly.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
And did you get my Slack message?
Yes, it's in my unread.
Great. Awesome.
Yeah, and if you want to do that, shoot. Do you have time today to do that? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, I'll send the guy a text right now.
Okay. No, I was talking about the SIG tour. My bad. I'll message you.
I also have time to do that. No problem.
Cool. Awesome.
Okay, I'm just taking a few notes down. Great. The only other inbound request that came in was during the SIG contributor experience async meeting. Paris was wondering if anyone who had time and interest to interview Michelle Nurali, who has been doing a bunch of great work on the governing board, and she, as a way to recognize her, and she's also awesome. So it'd be a great contributor experience conversation.
I don't have time, but I do have interest.
Right? Like I'm kind of in the same boat, right? Like I don't have time, but I do have interest. So maybe
I would be happy to do it. I would just need a little bit of guidance about how to frame it.
Like, maybe Caslin and myself and Bart can work on that together.
Awesome.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, like
I'm down.
Cool. Awesome.
I love it.
Then I can reach out to Michelle if you want, unless you're already in contact on some thread already. Or
I'm not.
Okay.
No, but like we've got the door has been open. It sounds like Paris already gave Michelle a heads up that she wanted to do a feature on her.
Okay.
But either way, you can say, hey, Paris told us to is a great answer to anything in Kubernetes.
Nice. All right. I'll send her a message.
Cool, Bart.
I'll send
Thanks.
her an email.
Congrats on your first AI here.
Yay.
Yay. I have work. Yay. Cool. All right. Moving into the back half of our meeting. This is where we kind of switch it to more of the technical and system thinking parts of this. Like how do we keep a message going out consistently, and how do we use some bots to help us? Rajula has built some cool stuff that was merged in last year. So we're getting into the code stuff. I'd like to clarify that that's not a requirement to contribute to this subgroup, but is, it's handy sometimes. So Rajula, I see you added a pull request in.
It was me.
Oh, my bad. Just kidding. Caslin, I saw you.
Surprise!
Oh,
got you.
Just kidding. All right. Catch us
I
up.
was
What's
dealing
happening
with tweet PRs. I just noticed this was there.
Oh,
yes.
Heck yes.
Request to add the repo to the chat or the doc, I guess.
Yeah. I can share screen as well.
Yeah, there's a PR basically as we get this set up. There's a PR to add some new automation to our Twitter bot thing. And it looks really good. Then we talked about this in December, I think. It's a new way to make it really easy for people to submit tweets and get them added in. And I haven't had the time to go through it and make sure that it all looks good. And I'm not that familiar with the code. So Rajula, this might be something cool for you to take a look at. I wanted to bring it to everyone's attention.
Yeah, I totally missed this pull request. I'll take a look. Yeah.
Great.
I think this is because it creates a bot user, and then we need to make sure the bot user has signed the CLA. So we need to figure that out.
Good point.
Yeah.
This has only been out for 5 days, so you didn't miss it by too terribly much. So.
Nope. Well, within our SLA.
Right.
This is neat though. So for others just joining, we have a way people can tweet from our community Twitter handle. It is a little, you've got to add a file. You've got to put the tweet information in the file. Karthikeyan, wait, actually, sorry, I'm blanking on.
That's right.
It's Karthikeyan.
Yeah, it's
Okay, good.
Yeah.
He built this really cool tool so that somebody can just open an issue and we'll use GitHub Actions to parse the issue and open the PR automatically. Or that's what it should do. What it does do is we'll have to find out. Rajula, we'll have to test this guy.
Yeah, I'll take a look at this thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. This is definitely like JS code and stuff that I'm not qualified to review.
We should also try to differentiate between a normal issue and the tweet issue. Say we have another issue talking about a feature. We don't need a file, so we need to figure that out.
Okay, yeah, there's no distinction right now.
That is a good point. We probably didn't think about that much when we did the demo in December because we haven't gotten very many pull requests on this repo. But like this pull request, we wouldn't want to turn into a tweet.
Right. Like,
yeah, or like all the kind of product management type issues that have opened along the way, and Rajula has like, yeah, we don't want those to turn into tweets.
So yeah,
Cool.
quick question. What is the functionality that we expect that if someone opens an issue that it will give them a PR to make it into a tweet? Like, is that the long and the short of it?
So yeah, they create a PR or they open an issue. They open an issue that, you know, is kind of a guided process that says, what do you want to do? Oh, I want to do a tweet. Okay, here's what you have to fill out. Da, 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 da. And then that issue then has to be turned into a PR, which then triggers GitHub Actions to publish the tweet when it's unheld, essentially, right? Like that's our scheduling method right now, is to hold the PR until it's ready to be tweeted.
But then as soon as it's merged, it'll be tweeted.
Right.
So this bot will take the context of the issue, find the tweet within it, and turn that into a PR. At least that was what we saw in December.
Right.
Yeah, I'm playing the video right now with no audio. So he's putting a bunch of stuff between the two tracers that he uses, and the GitHub action will say like, hey, this is too long, we can't tweet that.
Mm-hmm.
And it has some slash commands to revalidate it. And once it's valid, it auto makes a PR.
Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. Very appreciative of it because, yeah, as we've realized, like one of the barriers to entry is, especially for people with different expertise, is like a comfort with Git and GitHub. Mm-hmm. So making something just an issue interface as opposed to a PR interface is just like a kindness.
Way easier, yeah.
And I would use it more often, honestly.
Yeah, I had to put in a bunch of tweets this week, and I was like, man, I wish we had that thing with the issues.
Kaslin, you know you can just put them in TweetDeck. Like that's acceptable.
Yeah, I can, but I'd prefer to use the thing. If we use the GitHub repo, then it's referenceable and stuff. Plus, I've been super busy this week and was afraid that I'd make weird typos or say something wrong.
That is the problem.
More than usual.
Yeah, that is the problem with speaking for an entire community. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, it looks like...
One time, I've had it happen a couple times, though, where I've been like, here's the tweet, somebody review it, and it still goes out with issues. So it happens, but...
All right. Well, speaking of which, let's do a couple reviews.
So I will say, folks, the best, if you're on a Mac, I think it's Mac only still, the best thing for GitHub, like issue, PR, notifications, whatever, is Gitify, like Gitify, right? Like I have that running. It's in my little menu bar. And anytime there's a tweet that like I care about, or not a tweet, issue or PR that I care about, it's just like, boom, here's your little notification, click it, go straight to it. Okay, I can make my comments. And yeah, so it has made me super efficient. Highly suggested tool.
I pinged Chris about that because I had submitted 3 tweets to the repo this week. And one of them had Chris automatically put on it, and he just immediately did it. And I was like, how? I can't do that.
Yeah.
So apparently this is the answer.
It's a game changer. Yeah, trust me.
Nice. And then I just have to find the Linux equivalent.
Yeah, there's got to be one out there, right? Like
for sure. Okay, so that looks great. It looks like you've got it on hold though. Kaslin, anything?
That was because I did 3 tweets in one day.
Okay.
I put them all in the repo in the same day. So I was like, let's make sure these get spread out. But
great.
Because me submitting it gives it an automatic approval. So if somebody else LGTM'd it, it would just go. Okay. So if everyone happened to review them at the same time, they would just all go. So I didn't want to have that happen.
Love it. All right. Well, so I can at least do a...
And this one, I should have been more detailed with the name of the request. This is about some upcoming removals from V1 Beta 1 in the API. There were a few things, custom resource definitions, and a couple of webhooks that are now in API version V1 rather than V1 Beta 1, and they're being removed from V1 Beta 1 now. So Well, not now, in like 1.22 or something. I think it's 1.22. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So that's what the tweet says.
Cool. Update your GVKs, folks. Group version kind, if you're not familiar.
I'm not.
And then the other one that needs review is about KubeCon EU scholarships.
Oh, great.
Pretty basic, that one. And the deadline is not until April. So we'll probably like retweet this one a couple times or something before it actually happens.
Yeah, this looks great.
Did we share the link in the chat?
Sorry.
Did we?
Yeah.
If anyone wants to go and review it, the links are in the doc, which I will put in the chat.
And so the PR that y'all have in will add the functionality to add the GitHub actions to do the automatic tweet.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
It'll take it from issue to PR.
It will.
Yeah, we already have the once it's merged, it will tweet. We already have that part of the bot. What we're lacking is the issue to PR piece.
Yeah.
There we go. Got it.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, right? Like when you like from like a old school sysadmin's perspective, this is pretty awesome, right? Like
I'm immediately reflecting on how I can steal this for the Linkerd project.
As you
Nice.
absolutely should.
yes, please do.
Yeah,
That's why I'm here, is thinking about what this other CNCF project can take from Kubernetes.
Yeah. So if you look under the workflows that are already merged in, there's a Twitter Together one, and Twitter Together is the GitHub action that manages the authentication and ultimately the tweeting of the tweet.
Which is an open source thing itself that we found and used.
Yeah. So
and modified a little. We contributed back to it, if I recall correctly.
So Karthikeyan's thing is a little bit more complex since he's creating the whole GitHub action in this repo as well, which I'm now realizing, Rajula, is that will be a question of whether that's better to have abstracted out into its own repo and refer to it the same way we do with the Twitter Together thing, as opposed to merge it in here.
Since these two are dependent, so we can have the same workflows in a single repo. But
Okay, great. Yeah. Always, that balance. Cool. All right. Those are the pieces of that puzzle. It's pretty cool. Thanks, Kaislyn, for opening those up. Looks good to me. And I think the only issues, quote unquote, that we're still tagged in are mostly like these big goals we have around what we're gonna either tweet or what we're going to write. And we're still in the transitional period to a less messy issue-based system. Messy for the release team. Like they don't need our aspirational articles and release notes. So we're still switching that up. So I don't think there's anything much to walk through issue-wise. Rajula, anything on the calendar that we should be turning into call to action?
Let me just
dev/calendar. Share my screen one more time.
Is there a community meeting this week? No, that was this week.
So if you go to kates.dev/calendar, pops you over to this contributor site calendar. I love this list view. It does show you how absurd, how many meetings there are if you want to be everywhere.
Yeah, like the list view is much more helpful than the actual calendar view because you can't see everything in the calendar view.
Yeah, calendar view. Welcome to Kubernetes.
Yeah.
Choose wisely. Oh, that actually made it smaller.
So on that note, as far as things, like it seems like contributor experience is a valuable place to be for someone representing one of the projects. Is there anything else that seems like really worth doing or going to?
So the larger contributor experience meeting is it all virtual now, or is it not virtual?
It's every other week. So next week
yeah.
It'll be synchronous on Wednesday, and I think it's a great touch point in the overall calendar. And then from there, like if I were part of a adjacent project, I would end up honing in on one or maybe two SIGs that are related to exactly what I'm doing. So like if you're in the networking space, or like, you know, cluster API might be an interesting point. Or if you're in the monitoring space, there's the whatever our monitoring one's called these days, and observability and Prometheus stuff. So yeah, if you're trying to get stuff into documentation and you're like, how do I do that? Dropping in SIG docs is good. So it might switch based on what your objectives are, but they're just it's good to show up regularly to, in my opinion, it's good to show up regularly to one or two as opposed to like, you know,
all of them.
Peanut butter across all of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet.
I do think ContribEx is a particularly good one in my personal opinion, because it kind of goes over a lot of different things.
Yeah.
They kind of they help out a lot of the things. So
like YouTube administration, GitHub administration, Slack administration, all that stuff is done in ContribEx on top of running the community meetings and, you know, outreach and new contributor workshop and all the other fun things that makes Kubernetes great, in my opinion.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's ideal. And sorry, Caslin, didn't mean to speak over you there. Yeah, that's ideal. Thanks so much, folks.
Yeah. All right. I think that brings us to the tail end. Any other things that should make it into the recording? All right. Gonna hit end the recording. Thanks all.